Hello, craft beer friends, and welcome to Season 9, Episode 6 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Luce, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man who has survived Hurricane Ian from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Kris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, Kris? And of course, what is in your glass?
Well, we've got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of stuff going on. Just finally getting power back.
Yes.
Which couldn't have come at a better time. So now we're able to, do our show today and have cold beer and communications and air conditioning. Air conditioning is a big one. Yeah. But we've had quite a exciting week, whether it was with a storm. We were fortunate enough that right before the storm, we found out that we got voted as the #1 best dog trainer in Tampa.
Nice.
We're pretty excited about that.
Nice.
And I went to work on a Monday. Which
yeah. Well, you had a few days off though, right? So
I did, and it felt so weird because, man, it was like camping in your own house at the same time.
Did you build a fire inside the living room, or
no? Because man, it was a little warm during the day. It was actually cold at night. That fortunately we have these big sliding glass doors that go out onto our porch, so we just opened those and we slept in the living room. So it wasn't really a big deal, because if you were sleeping in one of the bedrooms, it's close to where the generator was, and the generator's was not so quiet. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were able to keep refrigerators running and keep all our food and stuff cold. But enough about that. Let's talk about what's in my glass. I'm doing great. In my glass today, I'm drinking something from a porch present that I got from you, Denny. I'm having some Mukluk.
Oh, the Mukluk.
Jim Dandy.
I should have brought one up myself. We could drink that together.
There's still time.
2 cans left. No, we're already started. We should have coordinated this before. But how do you like that one?
I haven't even tasted it yet. So
we're
doing it live. We're
doing it live. And you're drinking out of a can too. Didn't have time to do the dishes.
That's what Aria's for. She was a poor kid. She was so bored. As soon as the power came back on, she was doing dishes.
Really?
I was like, wow, who are you? What is going on here?
Yeah, as soon as you had some hot water to
yeah, that was nice too, because I went and drove to my friend Tim's house, which is about 45 minutes away, so I could go have a shower the other day.
Okay, so you only were missing power in your local area. It wasn't overall Tampa.
No, it was everywhere. There were hundreds of thousands of people in our area that did not have power.
Oh, okay.
And some people didn't lose power at all, but there were some people that it was out for a day, 2 days. Ours, it was funny because if you watch the outage map from our power company, they have these blobs of just clusters of homes, and you can see the colored in areas shrinking. And it says up at the top, we're estimating 100,000 people are without power. We're estimating 50,000. We're estimating, 25,000. And we were down to about 14,000 people without power. We're still not even just here, and our business did not have power until yesterday. We lost power Wednesday at about 4 p.m. and didn't get it back until Sunday at about 5 or 6.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I saw you post a video of the trucks that going onto the street, so you knew it was getting close to getting some power. Then I saw the post where your light was on your front light.
We made it entertaining, of course. Yeah. But this is very good. We have plenty of time to do dishes. I have a cup right here, but I don't want to ruin it for
save it for our tasting. Yeah,
for our tasting. But this is delicious.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's one of my favorite. In case any of our listeners are wondering, the Mukluk is the Cascadian Dark Ale or Black IPA. Very roasty, very nice hop character to it. It's a very enjoyable Black IPA, that style. Which
I like it too, because the roast and the hops are kind of separate.
Yeah,
when I'm drinking it, and it's not that as you're trying a beer like a Cascadian dark ale, sometimes you just get roast and hop bitterness or the hop flavors that go along with it. This is interesting because I get kind of the sweetness and the roastiness, and then I get that hop bitterness at the back. And I was like, this is pretty interesting. I like the way this works out. But yeah, it's very good. Well, so good. What about you? How's your day going? How are you doing today? What's in your glass?
I'm doing great. I was prepared to go alone in case you did. I wasn't going to force you to get on here tonight, knowing that you've been without power for so long and that you might have things going on. I said, I gave you an out, but you know what? I was so happy when you said, no, I'm going to be on tonight. We're going to record together because it's always better when we're together. And so I'm doing great because of that great news this morning. I started off the day on a high note when you responded back saying, yep, I'll be there. And now I'm at the pinnacle. We're here. We're enjoying it, and then after our show, it'll start coming back down, and I can look forward to tomorrow.
Listen, I tell you, this is therapeutic for me. You get to just BS about beer and chat with you, and just enjoy an evening. Just
flush all our worries away. They're all gone for at least a couple hours. But I think this is the same beer I was drinking last show.
It is.
Flyline lager, and it wasn't planned this way. It's just that there've been so many good deals where I can get these 6-packs for $6.99 or $5.99 even. Either it's $5.99 6-packs that I just can't pass it up. So I grabbed more of this beer, and I was looking for things that were lighter in my fridge because I didn't want to ruin my palate for our tasting note segment we're going to have here in a little bit. And I had a milk stout. I thought, oh, maybe I'll get the milk stout. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I had the Mukluk, but I thought, well, that's kind of strong before I get my dark strong ale. And I have a bunch of big beers that I just didn't want to drink on the show. I want to savor those. But you know what? Maybe I should have grabbed one of those big ones. But we have a big beer we'll be doing our tasting one, so I don't want to get too big. That'd be too much. But so the Flyline lager I had in there. And I also have a fat tire in here too as a backup beer. Yeah. I'll tell you that I think Fat Tire has definitely changed over the years. When it was first released, years and years ago, I enjoyed it, drank quite a bit of it. And then I slowed down. I got into the IPAs more. And then we revisited it after I hadn't drank it for a while on the show, and I think John and I had a tasting note segment with it, and I go, wow, this is not too bad. And I've had some off and on since then. And then I went again a few years without having Fat Tire, and now I've got a 6-pack. I'm doing some of those tastings for the Beer in Front Beer Awards at the end of the year, and one of those beers is Fat Tire. And so I've got a 6-pack thinking, yeah, I enjoy this beer. I'll be able to drink it. And then, honestly, it just really disappointed me. There's very, very little flavor to this beer anymore. There's really, it's great for a lighter beer that people don't want to taste beer, but I enjoy a good beer. Mm-hmm. And I just feel that, the Fat Tire is just kind of like degraded into something that's not that enjoyable. It's very lackluster in flavor, which was not the case in the past. It used to have decent flavors. But hey, I'm leaving it in my fridge for all of Sarah's friends that come over that don't really like beer. They like things lighter, that they can drink it. But Sarah hasn't had any friends over. So I thought I'll just grab one and drink that as after the tasting notes beer to finish the show off with, in case I need it. Long story short. Okay, enough of that. We're carrying on too much. Let's get this show started. But like always, before we get too far into the show, we always want to let anyone new listening to Tap to Craft podcast know what we're all about. We are an educational podcast focused around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journey and adventures. And you listen to episode 214. We're recording on Monday, October 3rd, 2022. And yes, we are live on Facebook and Twitter. And if you'd like to join us during our recording session sometime, you can do that very easily on the Monday before we release. So we release on a Thursday, every other Thursday. That Monday before at 6 at 8:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Mountain Time. Jump on Facebook, jump on Twitter, join us, and just watch as we record this show. We would love to have you along and interacting with us. And in this episode, we will be discussing the carbon dioxide shortage and the effects it may have on the beer industry. Now, anyone that pays attention to beer last few weeks, maybe last month, there's been a lot of news about CO2 shortage, about not enough CO2, beer prices are going to soar, like gloom and doom. Well, let's find out a little bit more about what this gloom and doom is all about, see if it's real, and see if we can expect our pockets to get a little lighter when we buy our beer in the future. And of course,
lighter. I see what you did there.
And of course, we have our last tasting notes segment with the Chimay Blue Grand Reserve Belgian Dark Strong. Now, I hope that our listeners have got this beer in hand and will be tasting along with us, because this is one of Kris's and my favorite beers. We love this beer. And of course, you can count on Kris and I having some great conversation along the way.
Make sure to get it out so it kind of warms up a little.
That's a good point. I'll probably get mine out here shortly as well. But Kris and I are very, very thankful for all of our Patreon supporters, because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, Bill Schlemmer, Amanda and Kevin Argauer, Mark Reedy, Mike Blanchard, Tara Carlson, and Jim Kudzel, and the latest of our virtual producers, Mr. Alex Fuchs, my good friend Alex, who provides me with so many great beers from around the world. He doesn't need to contribute, but you know what? He still finds it in his generous heart to donate to the show as well. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Our virtual producers. And we have Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, and Eric Gronley, who want to buy us a virtual beer. And if you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. Now, we do have a voicemail. If you want to leave us a voicemail and have your voice heard, asking a question or making a comment or leaving us a beer review, whatever you want to do, you can call us at 208-536-3359, or if it's easier for you to remember, 208-53-ODDLY. We'd love to hear from you. We love our voicemails.
Did you send it to me?
No, we don't have any voicemails. I'm just saying if you would like to.
Oh, I swear you said we have a voicemail. I was like,
we have a voicemail line. I probably forgot the line part because you know me. My mouth works slower than my brain. Just that way. Just happens. It's amazing I even get a show out with all
we edit a lot.
But if you're not comfortable getting your voice on the air, you can also leave us your feedback via email at taptocraft@gmail.com, or if you like social media, we are on Twitter and Instagram at taptocraft, and of course we have our Facebook page, facebook.com/taptocraft, where you can comment on the episode post or leave us posts, news, comments, whatever you want. Just follow us and interact with us. We love that interaction. And we do have a Tap to Craft podcast. Tap to Craft podcast website at tapthecraft.com. And I have been updating the site with blog posts of beers I've been drinking. If you want more insight in some characteristics of these beers and some background of my history with them or whatever, I've been doing that for the last month. I've been adding content there. So yeah, go check out the website. And we are having a contest. We're having our third FrostBuddy contest. And in order to be entered into this contest, it's very easy. We are trying to boost up our numbers on our different podcasting apps that people are using. Spotify especially is helpful because it appears that we have a lot of listeners on Spotify, but we haven't been rated on Spotify. So we would love our listeners to go in there and rate us. Take a screenshot of that rating on your rating app and just send it to us through email or Facebook Messenger or Twitter. Whatever you can do, just send it to us. You'll be entered into the contest if you do that. Now, not just for Spotify, any app that you're listening to, if you rate us, give us a star, write a review, whatever. If you've already done it on iTunes, send me that. I'll enter you into the contest. As many times as you want to do it on different services, we'll accept it. You'll be entered. And we do have some entries now. We have 3 entries. So I really appreciate the call went out, and we had 3 between this last episode that went ahead and did. And the first one was my buddy Alex, Eric Gronley, who's on listening to us right now, also sent in his. And this morning I got Jeff Seiler, who sent us his screenshot. So that's 3 Spotify
Thanks, guys.
reviews. I need to go on the site and see if we can see our rating now. That would be great if we could, because maybe there's other people that's done it that we just haven't got to that final limit, whatever that limit might be, to make it over the top. Okay, Kris, that's enough of our contest. Let's continue this conversation because we haven't been talking about beer. Let's talk about beer, because now it is time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
So Eric, like we've kind of mentioned, he is getting ready to hop on a plane to head home. So, buddy, if you're still listening, we're going to go through a couple of your check-ins. But the man has been drinking his face off in Las Vegas. This first one that I found there are a ton of check-ins over the last 24 hours. So, guys, if you want us to read your check-ins on our show, make sure you follow me on Untapped at MCK1345. And make sure you request me as a friend, and we usually read the majority of the check-ins 24 hours prior to us recording. Like Denny said, 8:30 Eastern time, 6:30 Mountain time, every other Monday. So
every other Monday.
if you can remember all that, you'll be fine. But there's a lot of check-ins. I actually had to click the view more button about 5 times to get through all these. So I'm going to go from like the last 12 hours. And Eric said, yeah, drinking it up with my buddy Pat. It's been such a fun weekend. I'm glad you guys got the chance to go do that. They went out to the Raiders-Broncos game this weekend. So here we go. And Abel Baker Brewing comes up first for Eric Gronley. He said this was such a cool brewery to visit last night. This has great orange, citrus, and pine. He's drinking the Atomic Duck. Such a cool brewery. Go visit Abel Baker if in the Vegas area. So from what I know, I may be back there in March. So I will be back.
Well, March is still a ways away.
It is, but it gives me something else to look forward to. But he also had Hazer's Gonna Haze by Belching Beaver.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Good one. I like that one too.
I drank my last one of that the other day. Atomic Torpedo by Sierra Nevada. David is drinking a 3970 premium lager by Nordwandbrau at Grindelwald, Switzerland. 3 1/4 caps for that beer. The bottle looks pretty awesome, but the landscape behind it looks even more incredible. He's also drinking the 3970 Pale Ale by Nordwandbrau in Grindelwald, Switzerland. Another 3.5 cap rating for that, or 3 1/4 cap rating for that one. Our friend the Gnarly Gnome is checking into a Cedar City Pils by Lebanon Brewing down there in Cincinnati. Good solid Pils, especially considering they just opened. Crispy, refreshing, nice snappy hops. Good job. So he's writing notes on this one. Let's see.
He writes notes.
Yeah, he does write
a lot.
notes.
He doesn't rate them though. He never rates any beers.
Eric said that Abel Baker gives you a rubber ducky for each flight. I grabbed 2 for my kids. That's pretty awesome. Eric, when you get home or if you think about it, can you send us a picture of you holding those or what they look like? I think that's pretty cool. The Gnarly Gnome also checked into Private Idaho by Lebanon Brewing. Super fruity to the point of verging on candy-like. The bitterness comes in and reins it in, keeps it all in check, though. Also had Deadbeat by Lebanon Brewing, Force Lightning, Raspberry Drizzle, a little bit of everything. Eric, one other question, because I see you guys checked in at Tenaya Creek. Denny and I have been there before. Is the picture of Ice Cube still behind the bar? That's all I want to know. The beer was good too, but anyway, Eric checked into a Pilsner at Tenaya Creek, solid German Pilsner, 4 cap rating for that one. But also their Bonanza Brown, which I know I've had. He also drank what he called an awesome lawnmower beer, which was their El Charro Mexican lager from Tenaya Creek, 3 3/4 caps for that one. Let's see. Hop Ride IPA. This hits on all the West Coast style, piney and citrus. Singing Frog. I would be happy, so happy to drink this one every day. 4 1/4 caps. All these are from Tenaya Creek, guys. So there's a ton of beers you got to try there. There's a cool little brewery just outside of Vegas. Let's see. Any other ones that stand out? Pinch Hitter Pale. Loving the peach flavor in this one, he said. 4 1/4 caps. Yeah, you had a lot of them, man. That's good. Glad you were able to try so many. He just said he didn't notice Ice Cube. I'm talking about the rapper movie star. But either way, I'll see if I can't find the picture when we were there that I'm talking about in a little bit. Alex Fuchs is drinking a Passion Pool by McKellar Brewing. No notes or rating on this one, but he's drinking it out of his BrewDog glass, which is always good. Looks like Eric shifted over to Hop Nuts Brewing. So he checked into their Belgian Wit, checked into their Hop Nuts, Green Mamba, Chasing Clouds, 18B Pale Ale. The list goes on and on. Harry Porter. That's a good one. There's a like Harry Potter reference in there. Yeah. Raspberry Truffle Shuffle. He said raspberry cuts through the bitterness. Where's Chunk when you need him? I gave that one a 4 cap rating. And then he also had another one from Hop Nuts. I got my check-ins in from when I was in the hurricane. Let's see. Scrolling on up. Mike Allen's checking in at the Taco Mac, checking into 2 Beer Buzz by Slow Pour Brewing Company, 4 cap rating. Also the Bright Day Coming from 3 Taverns Brewery, all at the Taco Mac. Buck Buchanan of Core 4 Brewing Company is checking into Nice by Stone Cloud Brewing Company. He said solid barrel-aged stout with no adjuncts. 5 cap rating for that one. That's almost unheard of anymore, Buck. A barrel-aged stout with no adjuncts in it. I like to hear that every once in a while. Listen, beer-flavored beer. We talk about that a lot. This next beer, Jeff Seiler, I'm so glad that you got to try this. I tried this one the other day. Jeff Seiler is drinking a Lurking Fear by Magnanimous Brewing Company.
Oh.
Big, bad, citrusy IPA. So glad I can now get Magnanimous Brewing. They are amazing. 4 1/4 caps for that one.
They are good.
We'll be talking about that one here in just a minute. Continuing his check-in streak, Chad Lamassa drinking a Forbidden Pumpkin by Abomination Brewing Company. Bought it for the can art. That's a man after my own heart. Creamy pumpkin pie, whipped cream, and cinnamon. Doesn't drink like a 9%. 5 cap rating for that one.
Wow.
Jeff Seiler checking into a Green Shift by Beechwood Brewing. I got to have some of them when I was in Las Vegas too. They made some good beer. Big old school double IPA, piney, boozy, and tasty. Kind of reminds me of Lagunitas Hop Stupid, which I haven't seen in years. Really missed that beer. 4 1/2 caps for that check-in. Art Warcheck's checking into a few things at Missing Mountain Brewing Company. The Midnight Chef and the Zwickle Trickle. Get some antibiotics for that. And last on my list, Eric Gronley drinking a Love Juice by Love Lady Brewing Company at the Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas. Great tropical hazy to head out of town. Wheels back up to Minnesota. He gave that one a 4 cap rating. And I have actually had that beer also, and I rated it a 4 cap rating.
Did they change the name of the airport?
They did.
So now it's called Harry Reid?
Harry Reid International Airport. I can't remember what it was before.
It was
I thought it was just Las Vegas International.
No, it was something like LeCarron's or
it was McCarran's
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is what everybody's drinking, Denny.
Wow. Great list. And you're right. When you read the Hop Stupid, I love that beer too from Lagunitas. I did see it maybe a couple years ago, and I want to say it used to only be in 22-ounce bottles, and I think I saw it in 12-ounce bottles. And I don't know if that's the new packaging they're doing, or if they're only doing it every so often. But it is a unique beer that is really flavorful, and they used some hop oil, I guess. I think they did something because what happened is they bought all these hops cheap to support the local hop. They got this agreement to take these hops, and then something happened and they had all these extra hops, and then they didn't want to screw the farmer over, so they just bought them all.
Oh,
they had to
wow.
use them, and they couldn't store them and keep them because they didn't have enough to use all those hops. And so they went and they like pressed them into hop oil, and they used the hop oil stays longer, and they didn't use that to make this hop stupid beer that is like really back then it was a really hoppy, flavorful beer. Now, with all the newer things going on, we have a lot more flavor in the hops than we had back then. But back in the early days, when it was mostly just bittering and piney, and this actually gave a little bit more flavor. So yeah, I'm gonna look for hop stupid too. If I see that, I need to grab some because I really did enjoy that beer. Okay, wow, great list. Well, you know what? Did that make you thirsty, Kris? Because it's time for a tasting note segment. And as Kris already showed, we're going to have this Chimay Grand Reserve Blue Label beer. I think it's 9%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 9% ABV. It's a Belgian dark strong ale. This is a classic. This is the Chimay beer that everyone knows, right? This is the one that people adore. Kris and I for sure adore it. So let's go ahead and pour this beer into our glasses. And while we do that, I did go to the website. Oh, you know what? I didn't have this up close to my mic to get that nice puff this time. My bad.
That's okay.
But,
we learn.
Yeah, but I did grab some information on this beer. So Grand Reserve was first launched in 1954 as a Christmas ale under the name Blue Cap. Its success and reputation as a strong ale of the highest quality led to its year-round production as Chimay Grand Reserve. Today it's a standard bearer of the Chimay range and has become notorious for its amazing cellaring ability. A beer cellar on the grounds of the Abbey secures a vast selection of Chimay blue bottles whose ages span a multitude of decades. Multitudes. I just poured this whole beer into my glass.
Yeah, I did too. Okay, well,
let's check. I got some, and I got some funk in there. So my bad. I shouldn't have poured the whole thing. I went too far. So mine's going to be a little bit funky.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. So on the I can't see my screen. There's a lot number down here.
Yeah, L21447.
All right, I got L21876. So we're not.
So mine's older.
How do you know?
I'm assuming the smaller number is the earlier batch.
I mean, maybe.
Well, it's close enough though. It's the same year at least, 21.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, it should be pretty close. All right. So this is the Chimay. So as we look at it,
it's kind of dark.
It's kind of dark. I don't know if mine just looks funky because I poured all that yeast into there. It's not. This is standard fare, I think, for these Chimays. None of them are really like beautiful. I think maybe the double was probably the best looking beer. The triple looked pretty good too, but I think the double was the best one. This one's it's murky. It's brown.
It's brown, reddish, dark copper.
One thing to notice as well is neither Kris nor I have a big head on this beer.
No, that dissipated quickly.
Yeah, it dissipates quick. So it's just got a very thin layer of tan head, more coarse bubbles, not fine bubbles like you find with the double had really fine bubbles.
You're good.
I am getting bubbles coming up out of the bottom of this glass, but again, my glass has probably got laser etching on the bottom too. But there's still some good bubbles, so I've still got a lot of carbonization in here. So that's the look. Not an overly impressive looking beer, to be honest with you. It's not the best beer I've seen. I give it a middling score of 6 for appearance. What do you give this for appearance if you had to rate it on appearance?
I'd give it on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, 1 to 10.
It's just 5 or 6.
Yeah,
like
5 or 6. It's nothing special. Yeah, it's okay. Let's get into some specialness then. Let's take a nose hit of this. Take a nose hit and I get I get toffee character in here. I get
toffee,
maybe some figs or dates. I get cherry, some dates. Yeah, maybe a little cherry. I get some date sweetness. A little toffee. The toffee might mix in with that some like burnt brown sugar sweetness, but yeah, smells very good. Does not smell alcoholic, which is good. No fusel alcohol smell in here. It smells delicious. I give this.
This smells better than any of the other ones that we tasted.
Yeah, you're right. It does smell better. I think I give this an 8 in aroma. Just because I like this, I like these smells, and my anticipation of drinking it based off the smell is very high anticipation. So I'm going to give it a little higher score for that. So yeah, okay. Well, now my taste buds are all active. I want to go ahead and take a sip of this. So let's go ahead and sip away. Okay. Wow.
I've missed you.
There's a lot going on in this. Right up front, I get a heavy dose of that fig datey sweetness. Not like it's a sweet beer, but I get that, like that sensation of when you eat a fresh date or some figs, that nice dark fruit character with the sweetness.
It's like that concentrated sugar.
Yeah.
Almost brown sugar like.
It's like brown sugar like. It goes right in from that datiness into more of that brown sugar character, that toffee or brown sugary. And then something weird happens at the end.
And
I may need to take another sip to try to pinpoint it. But there is some kind of a different kind of fruitiness coming in at the end that kind of like takes is different from the dark fruit. So if you can explain what you're tasting, I'll take another sip and see if I can pinpoint that character.
So I'm still kind of stuck on the like brown sugar almost. I mean, it almost kind of is like a molasses. Because I mean, if that's going to be brown sugar, but I'm still stuck on the figs, dates, cherries, like the stone fruits. But then
I'll say, you know what?
Almost burnt sugar.
I think that fruit character might be a cherry character, like not a medicinal cherry, like like what you would get if you smelt a cherry, right? You like that sensation. It's not. It just has that little bit of a sweet cordial cherry kind of character right at the end that like it kind of like circles around. I do get some Belgian sugar sweetness, like some Belgian candied sugar in there as well, right in the mid section, and it kind of goes into the finish. Super smooth. This beer is so easy to drink. I mean, I could literally just gulp this down, and I'd be finishing a 9% beer in about 2 seconds. There's zero hint of alcohol in this beer. It's
not
like
at
drinking. All. It's like drinking a fancy. I hate using this, but like a fancy high-end Dr. Pepper, right? Where it has all these flavors going on, and you can't really like it's so many flavors that are interacting. It's complex flavors that it's like you've got these flavors and it just tastes good, but you can't really pinpoint
The
exactly what
sweetness
they
is
are.
almost like honey sweet too.
Whew, it's definitely getting me the burps. It definitely has some carbonization in here. Mm. I think I don't know. I didn't check what I gave this on a tap, but I probably gave this a 5.
Well, I don't know if I've checked into it on Untapped. Because funny enough, I hadn't checked into the red or the white either.
I had the red. I hadn't had the white before, and if
Neither.
I would have, I should have remembered how bad it was for me. I didn't like the
Oh.
white at all.
I rated it 4 caps, but that was in January of 2016. So man, that was 6 years ago.
Wow, this is I always forget how much I love this beer. It is very, very, very good. This is the beer that I kind of was hoping that John and I were going to, you know, produce when we did our Belgian Dark Strong Ale, and we were close.
Mm-hmm.
Ours just came across a little sweeter than we had hoped, mainly because uh, milling, my milling of the grains was crappy, and we need to go get some more. You need to bring that specific gravity back up, and we kind of overshot a little bit. So I blame my milling technique, but
Oh yeah, because you have so much control over the milling technique.
well, I insisted that I mill turning the handle by hand, and you know how much grain there is in hand cranking
Yeah, that's a
and
lot.
breaking for a full 5 gallon or whatever size we made. It was a lot. It was a lot. But
Yeah, that was a lot. So funny enough, I actually rated back in 2016. I rated. Oops. So funny enough. No. I rated the red higher than the blue.
it's because you at that time well at that time you weren't really into Belgians,
Yeah.
and the double is uh, very similar to this, but just lighter. It's just not as much of it, right? This has got more flavor, and you may have had it at a point where it was maybe maybe a little bit too sweet for you at that time. I don't
Yeah.
know, or maybe you had a different beer before it, and then you had this after it, and didn't those two beers didn't go well together, and it kind of gave you an off flavor. I found, especially lately, I've been drinking beers, and because I've been drinking so many different styles, and I've been drinking a ton of IPAs and double IPAs, it's crazy. I tell myself every year I'm not going to drink so many hoppy beers, and I fail miserably.
Yeah.
This year is no different. I've drank so much IPA, I'm embarrassed. But because I'm drinking these different IPAs that have different hop characters and different, I mean, they're not, you can't just call an IPA an IPA anymore. There's so many different things going on. Even drinking two different IPAs back to back will totally change the flavor of that IPA than it would if you had had that the first beer. And I think I'm starting to recognize that we need sometimes to have a palate cleanser. Drink some water and eat something to try to totally clear out your entire mouth, so
Mm-hmm.
that when you drink the next beer, it's not being influenced by what you had before. If you had something that was tart or strong in in tropical fruit, and that's sticking around in your mouth, then that next West Coast IPA is going to be different. It's going to take on some of that character as well, and maybe they won't meld as well. So maybe that happened. Just something to
Yeah, who
think about.
knows? A lot has changed in the last 6 years too.
Yeah.
Um,
But you're enjoying this beer now.
mhm. Because I do remember having it between now and the first time I had it, and really just I blue is probably one of my favorite colors anyway. I just remember this kind of sticking in my head, just going drinking it and going, oh, wow, yeah, that I like that one a lot.
Yeah. So the finish is very nice. It does not come across. I wouldn't say it's dry, but it doesn't come across sweet either. There is a little bit of sweetness, stickiness that lingers on at the end, and in that sweetness, though, you get some of that burnt brown sugary kind of character that that almost becomes bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of detracts from any kind of sweetness. But I wouldn't say dry. I'd say balanced between sweetness and dry,
Yeah.
and just enjoyable. And the flavors that linger around in the back of your throat are very pleasant, and it just like like I'm tasting all kinds of things that come out, from this beer, which is really nice, really nice.
This is one of those
probably,
beers. I was gonna say, this is one of those beers that I continually smell.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to drinking it's great, but just smelling it over and over again, it's just so good.
Yeah, it is good. And it's a complex beer. And you're right. Now that I'm smelling it now, after it's warmed up a little bit more, and I'm getting more fruitiness, almost like a champagne-y type character, like a grape, grape.
Almost like the tannins out of the tannins,
out of
like the white grapes.
Yeah, like white grape tannin, but it doesn't come across in the flavor. Just now that I'm whipping it around, all those other flavors combine and give you this sensation. It makes that aroma even better. Ooh, but man, it's making me burpy. All these Chimay beers really make me gassy, and I have a problem that with my esophagus that I can't drink carbonation very fast. That's why I don't drink any soda at all. It just don't stay down. So I got to make sure I constantly let this gas out, or all of a sudden I'll be talking and then it'll be foaming out of my mouth and nose. It doesn't do well. But okay, Kris, how about overall impression and rating? You rated this before a 4 when you first rated it back in 2016. You gonna bump it up a little? You gonna keep it at 4?
Let me see. Did I rate this 4? Yeah, I gave this 4. I'd probably bump this up to 4 and 4.5. Just because it is one of those beers, like you said, this is 9%, and in the course of, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, we've both put down a 9% beer.
Yeah, I'm trying to savor the last little bit here, but yeah, you're right.
And listen,
it's going down quick.
It's going to start happening here really soon because I'm starting to feel it up here.
You're starting to get a little bit flushed. Kris. You okay?
Yeah, it's just so warm.
You got rosy cheeks.
But it's one of those things where I would definitely increase the rating. And it's just because I think things have changed. Like I've changed as far as what I look for when I'm drinking beer, or how I taste beer, or what I like. I mean, hell, that changes all the time. Or that can change,
I think, again, whether or not Untapped has my rating or not, I think when I was first exploring the Belgian ales, because I remember John convinced me to go back and try Belgian ales. I didn't like them when I was young in my craft beer journey, and I steered away from him because I had some bad experiences. And he coaxed me into reintroducing him to me, and when I did, I fell in love with him. So, and I may not have even rated this in Untapped. I may have had this where it was before Untapped, and I loved it, and then I had it since Untapped and assumed that I checked it in, and maybe didn't realize I hadn't checked it in. So I'll check it in this time.
You can check it in now.
But I would have given this probably a 5 early on, because it's just one of the beers that I just really enjoy, and it shocked me. and that got me to love Belgian dark strong ales.
Mm.
Now that I've experienced a lot of different Belgian dark strong ales, I think I'll like you raised yours up to a 4.25, 4.5. I'm gonna probably rate this at I'm gonna rate it at 4.5.
Yeah.
And it's only because I don't know why. I think because I've been too easy on rating, but I think because the flavor is good, and the flavor is not overwhelming with. It's not too powerful. It's not punching you in the face. It's just everything is there and subtle and works well. I appreciate that. But I think I've grown to really enjoy the Belgian dark strong ales that give you that extra punch, right? That extra, hey, this is what I am, and you're gonna like it. And those are the ones I think I would give a 5, where it just like it just ups up the flavor a little bit more. But still a great beer. Still a great beer. Okay, well that is our toasting
segment.
Notes.
Yeah.
With the Chimay Grand Reserve, and what a great beer that is. All right, we're all out of tasting segments. We did almost 4 in a row. 4 in a row. We did do 4 in a row.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did 4 in a row. Or if we did one and we skipped one because you weren't able to join, and we did 3 in a row. But we did 4 tasting note segments with Belgian beers.
Oh yeah, we did. We did the red, white, and the blue, and then the Duvel.
And the Duvel, yeah. So I don't have anything on deck for next time. Kris and I will chat offline, and we will come up with a couple more beers that we can both get, and maybe we'll do some New Belgium Voodoo Rangers series, and we can get those.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can do some Sierra Nevada stuff. We can get those. Maybe we'll do some Oscar Blues. I'd love to, maybe. I don't think we've done Dale's Pale Ale.
We haven't.
We'll do Dale's Pale. We've done Old Chub on the show, but you know what? Let's revisit Old Chub. I love that beer. It's one of the first craft beer in a can that it might be the exact first craft beer I had in a can back in 2002 when they first came into the Boise area. And I was like, craft beer in a can? This can't be good. It's in a can.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. So I enjoy Old Chub. We'll find some beers. We'll let you know what they are, and we'll do some more tasting notes, because Kris, I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, these are fun. And if you guys can think of any that are pretty well distributed around the country, let us know, because we rack our brains and we tend to go to things that are like, well, I mean, you can get this all over the world.
Yeah.
But things like Dale's Pale Ale and Old Chub and things like that are. Mm-hmm. It's nice that we can think of it, but help us expand our.
Yeah. It is coming up to Christmas time, or holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
We could always do Brothers Theonius. If you can get that.
I can.
Or St. Bernardus Christmas Ale. If you can get that one, I love that beer. I get that every year.
I make
cookies with it. Every year I buy a big 25-ounce bottle, and so we can definitely do that. I love that beer as well. So yeah, we'll keep that up. Okay, let's get into our Beer Speak 101. And guess what? This week, the Beer Speak is going to be, kind of an intro into what our topic is for our Brew Buzz. So in this episode, we're going to talk about forced carbonation. I always want to say carbonization. I don't know why I want to say that. Carbonation. So what is forced carbonation? It's when the beer is placed into a sealed or soon-to-be sealed container, and carbonation is rapidly added, and under high pressure, the CO2 is absorbed into the beer, and it gives us our bubbles. It makes the beer not taste flat. Gives it some, some fizz to that beer, which is good. We like a little fizz, not too much fizz, just a little fizz. So that's what forced carbonation is. Carbonation.
Carbonization.
I don't know why I have so much trouble saying that, but it's okay. All right. Well, now it's time for the Brew Buzz, and the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. This week, we will discuss the CO2 shortage and how it adds to local brewery woes. And there's a ton of articles out there, but I grabbed the information that we're going to share with you from 3 different articles. Kind of, again, I like to grab information from a bunch of sources and intermix it in to make my own story. And I'll have these links to these articles in the show notes if you want to visit them in whole and read what each of these have to say. But I got this one called Your Beer Needs Carbon Dioxide, but the price skyrocketed over the summer. It was found on the NPR website, written by Bill Chappelle. Carbon dioxide shortage threatens beer and food manufacturing, found on the Food Dive website, written by Megan Poinski. And beer shortage is brewing. A volcano is partly to blame, found on the Time website, written by Nick Popley.
Damn volcanoes.
Yeah, volcanoes. I had to throw that one in because, hey,
that's a catchy headline. Like, how do you not go through that and go, wait, volcanoes are to blame for my beer being more expensive? I got to read this.
That's right.
Good job, Nick Popley. I'd read yours out of all the other ones.
Well, and keep in mind that most of the stuff you find on other podcasts and stuff, we're all talking about the volcano. We're going to talk more than just about the volcano because I don't think the volcano is a full story. So I'll start this off. Okay. Carbon dioxide has no taste, no odor, and no color, but it is a vital ingredient to the beer business, from putting frothy bubbles in the brews to blocking oxidation that makes the beer taste stale. Brewers are now worried that a carbon dioxide shortage could force production cuts and price hikes. Beer makers have dealt with carbon dioxide shortages and price hikes for much of the pandemic, similar to higher costs for aluminum cans and cardboard. But as of August, brewers' carbon dioxide costs had spiked more sharply than any other input costs in recent months, according to a graph shared by Bart Watson, the chief economist for the Brewers Association. So I can't show you this chart, but I can talk about this chart and explain what the chart shows in words, because this is a podcast. You can get our words. So this chart is a PPI graph. And what is PPI? PPI is Producer Price Index, which is a family of indexes that measures the average change over time in selling prices received by domestic producers of goods and services. PPIs measure price change from a perspective of the seller. So imagine this chart. It's a line chart starting off in 2020, let's say January 2020. Mm-hmm. It's moving along, and we've got a number of items we're looking at. We're looking at aluminum cans. We're looking at shipping costs, freight costs. We're looking at cardboard. We're looking at malt. We're looking at CO2. So we have these 5 different lines coming across. And the first thing I'm going to start from the beginning of when we started seeing these indexes take a climb from 100 to above 100. So they're all starting at the same level, and now they're moving up or down, but they're not moving down. They're only moving up. So between September and November of 2020, CO2 PPI increased 10%. So September, November 2020, we see a 10% increase in CO2. Between September 2020 and May 21st, or 2021, freight shipping increases 10%. So now, during that same time and moving into the next year, freight is slowly increasing to 10%.
So we saw the damn ship got caught in the channel.
Yeah. Then from May 2021 through November.
Cheers, Eric. Eric's getting ready to take off.
All right.
Thanks for checking in with us, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. So now, between May 2021 and November 2021, all of a sudden, we see that our aluminum cans start to increase to 10% more than they were at the beginning there, 10% increase. Paperboard increased 30% between July 2021 and July 2022. So in 1 year, we saw a 30% increase of the costs for your cardboard. In December of 2021, aluminum cans shot up another 20%, and it's currently 35% above where it was when we started in 2020. So we've seen aluminum cans 35% more cost in getting aluminum cans. Between April 2022, so this year now, until now, so from April to now, CO2 increased 30% and is currently 40% above where it was in 2020. So that's a 40, almost a, half as much more than where it was just in 2 years.
So it's almost doubled.
It's almost doubled, yeah. Well, no, it's 50% higher. It's 50%, not doubled. 100% would be doubled. 200%.
You sure?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not an economist, so I might be totally wrong. I'm just reading the chart how I
know. I'm just messing with you.
And we didn't talk about malt until now.
Mm-hmm.
So malt increased 12% just this year from January 2022 till current. It's 12% gain. So all the ingredients, everything that goes in to, well, we didn't talk about hops.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about water. And we didn't talk about yeast.
Right.
So I'm sure those have gone up, but they're probably at a lower amount that they just didn't want to add that, too much to that chart. These are the heavy hitters that have seen significant increase. Malt, and especially malt since the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that's when we started seeing a lot of the malt go up as well. So there's a lot of factors that are playing into the costs that are being transferred to the breweries into manufacturing their beer. And that cost has to be, they can't absorb all that, right? So what happens is the price is going to have to go up, right? And we've seen prices go up. I've complained about prices going up. I thought the prices going up was because of the pandemic and the labor shortage and the things that happen, which in a way it has. It's the aluminum can, it's the freight they're paying, it's the malt that they're paying more for, it's the CO2 that's harder to get. And especially for smaller breweries, if they can't order this thing in bulk and they have to order on demand when they need it, they may not be anything available when they need it, and they might have to go without, which is a problem. So there's a lot of factors that are involved in the fact that our beers prices are going up, not just the fact that people don't want to work and it costs more to,
It's all those things. It's all those things combined.
Those things, yeah.
And listen, if you need some carbon dioxide, if you just take some sodium bicarbonate and add a little acetic acid to it, the byproduct is carbon dioxide.
Okay, enough to is it food grade?
Well, it has to be. I mean, what baking soda is probably basic. The acids, it's going to meet in the middle. It's going to be neutral, or it'll be totally fine. Yeah. There's your science for the day. Okay, so the three factors that are going to drive this shortage, the three main factors are behind what Paul Flieger, communications director of the Compressed Gas Association trade group. First off, how do you get that title? Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Paul Flieger. I'm the direct communications director from the Compressed Gas Association trade group. Nice to meet you. He calls this CO2 tightness. Two of them have to do with how carbon dioxide is produced, because it's a byproduct of other processes such as ammonia and ethanol production.
Yeah, so that's a key, right? So we're getting CO2 a lot from byproducts of manufacturing ammonia. And what is ammonia used for? Fertilizer and such. And ethanol production, gas.
Fuel.
If people aren't driving as much, or, we're not necessarily having enough fertilizer out there or whatever, they don't need to make as much, right? So there's not as much byproduct coming off.
Are you telling me electric vehicles are going to make my beer more expensive?
Yeah.
Because that's horseshit. Yeah. All right. But this fall, ammonia plants are undergoing scheduled maintenance shutdowns that will keep them from producing carbon dioxide, Flieger said. A slowdown in ethanol production roiled the carbon dioxide supply in 2020. As fewer Americans drove in the early days of the pandemic, many ethanol plants idled or cut production and haven't resumed operations. And then there's the weather. The beverage industry accounts for 14% of U.S. carbon dioxide, but demand soars across the board when it's hot.
Yeah, that's an overall beverage for all beverages that use carbon dioxide, not just beer, but 14% of all U.S. carbon dioxide is in the beverage.
Well, not only is it beer and soda, but you know how all of us, white people drink LaCroix. Right? Anyway, moving on. Driver shortages are further jamming up the supply of the gas. The Brewers Association says, particularly with local delivery. Many of the sourcing challenges, it says, are worse in the Southeast. Sorry, guys. But reports of CO2 shortages and quality issues have been reported all across the U.S. since the middle of the summer.
Yeah. So brewers now the next section here, brewers face tough choices to balance the costs. Well, we already kind of mentioned this has got to it's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
The shortage is more dire in some regions than others, and some of the worst pain is being felt by small craft brewers. In Massachusetts, Night Shift Brewing said this summer that it would halt most production at its base in Everett, where it's been making beer for the past decade.
Wow.
Quote, last week we learned that our CO2 supply has been cut for the foreseeable future, possibly more than a year until we get more, the company said. Night Shift will rely on contract brewers, facilities that make beer on a larger scale, to keep the majority of its beers flowing, as a member of the WBUR reported. So that's amazing right there, right? This brewery that is a smaller brewery making beers that I've heard all the way over here in Idaho that, pretty good beers, they are stopping production of their own brewery because they can't get CO2 to do the, to make the fizz. They're going to go ahead and contract out their beers to other bigger breweries that have the source to get the CO2 or can produce it on site or whatever. And that's how they're going to stay going. That's huge. I mean,
yeah.
that's amazing. I mean, I'm just shocked at that. And they can't get CO2 for a year. I mean, that's worrisome. I'm worried for a lot of my favorite smaller breweries.
Especially since it's such, you don't think about CO2, like you think of grain, you think of water and hops, but you never look at it and go, yeah, the CO2 that they force carbonate these beers with is a big part of all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brandon, my buddy Brandon just hopped on and he said, yeah, you're keeping the small man down. Listen, I need you to just go ahead and plumb us some carbon dioxide to these local breweries, buddy. That would help us out a lot. Brandon's a plumber in Maryland. He has his own plumbing company. So good to see you on here, pal. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah. So the shortage is hitting craft beer brewers after the pandemic forced many of them to survive by boosting canning operations and taproom sales. But adding taps and cans also makes brewers more reliant on a steady supply of carbon dioxide tanks. And as Good Beer Hunting site notes, craft brewers were already facing momentum to raise prices this fall due to rampant inflation. So not only do we have to deal with all this supply stuff, but we have to deal with inflation as well. We're going to raise our prices. It's like, we're getting knocked out over here. It's crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, the beer industry has been hit particularly hard by the shortage, forcing some smaller breweries to consider raising their prices to offset rising costs and remain in business. Some are even experimenting with CO2 alternatives such as nitrogen.
No, that ain't going to work for me. I'm not drinking nitrogen charged beer.
Why not? We do it all the time. Well, I mean, not all the time, but it's.
If I'm drinking a Guinness, or if I'm drinking a cream ale, or a stout that actually a milk stout or something that can handle it, I'm okay. I don't want my IPA charged with nitrogen, or my lagers for that sake. I want flavor in those beers. I don't want.
Yeah, they does kind of knock them out a little bit. It's funny. We've started seeing a big increase in Pepsi Nitro around us. Nitro Pepsi, like so soda. And even the cans, they have the little widgets in the bottom. So, and Nitro coffee. Yeah, Brandon, that's we see that a lot too. Just Nitro coffee. And I admit I had a Nitro cold coffee the other day and it was just, I've never tried it. Let's give it a whirl. Okay. It was kind of gimmicky, but it wasn't as bitter as the regular version. But I mean, with coffee, you're not expecting it to be carbonated. That's just what they use to push it through the lines. I don't know. I mean, it does have some creaminess to it as well, but
yeah, I can see creaminess.
But I don't know. It's starting to show up everywhere. But nitrogen in the beer, you're right, Denny. It's got to be specific kind of styles. So carbon dioxide is also collected at sites like Jackson Dome, which is part of an extinct volcano that lies nearly 3,000 feet beneath Mississippi's capital city. Gas World, a publication that monitors the industrial gas production industry. That's just like our guy at the beginning of this talk. Hey, and do me a favor, please make sure you renew my subscription to Gas World. I do not want to miss out on February's issue. That's the big one. That's when you get to. That's when they reveal Miss Gas World. Yeah.
Oh, I thought is that the calendar?
It's the calendar one. They try to get it out in January, but it's a good solid February. They reported that the shortage may have originated earlier this year as oil prices skyrocketed. The Jackson Dome carbon dioxide well in Mississippi, known as a plentiful source, likely first saw contamination as the company drilled additional wells to use the gas for enhanced oil recovery. The resulting contamination creates a gas that's too impure for beverages. So we drilled for oil, and you ruined my beer. So now I want electric vehicles again. Anyway, all right. Carbon dioxide is a natural byproduct of brewing from heating mash and boiling wort to the fermentation process. Some brewers use specialty equipment to capture the gas and reuse it, but small brewers might lack the resources and scale to make that feasible. And most of those efforts have focused on cutting emissions and reducing costs rather than serving as a sole source of carbon dioxide. In the long term, sophisticated carbon dioxide recapturing systems could capture the gas in the atmosphere and filter out the impurities. The Royal Society of Chemistry says, I was like, the punctuation, I am just not following with this.
It's that 9%. That's what, and that Mukluk was like 8%.
Well, this is the rest of my Mukluk right here. 6.6, I do believe.
Oh, is it 6.6?
Yeah, 6.6. And there's the ambitious blonde in my cooler over there. Good Beer Hunting's sight lines reported that these systems are extremely expensive and take a lot of manpower to run, and when used in breweries, haven't been able to produce all the gas that's needed. However, since the Trade Journal reported some breweries are shutting plants and receiving quotes of $1.20 per pound of carbon dioxide that once cost 11 cents.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
That's more than 10 times the original cost.
Yeah.
That's insane. This solution may turn out to be a cost-effective one.
Yeah. If you're going to be paying 10 times what you were paying, then maybe it is time to go buy your own solution. But I don't know if that's a lot of money.
But then it still doesn't give you everything that you need.
Yeah. It's going to be tough to keep up with everything. But it's a problem. It's a problem that nobody. I didn't expect that my beer would be affected by a lack of CO2. I thought there was plenty of CO2 out there in the world.
Yeah, but 3 years ago, I didn't expect that I wasn't going to be able to go outside either.
Yeah, that's true. The world is changing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's they're blaming carbon dioxide for
everything
for global warming.
Everything.
So
CO2 gets a bad rap.
It's all of our beer consumption and gassiness.
No, it's the cow farts. It's cow farts, Denny.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that was our science lesson for the day, CO2 and how it might be one of the contributors to your higher prices you'll be paying for beer. So go out there and get all those $5.99 6-packs while you can, because that price is going to go up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Kris. Before we get into our new and noteworthy beers, I need to go take a potty break.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, I'll be right back. And I'm back. And Kris is back.
And we're back.
And we're ready to rumble.
So that means we get to get into our new and noteworthy beers.
Yes, now it is time for our new and noteworthy beers. And Kris, what new and noteworthy beers would you like to talk to on this episode?
So I had one from Magnanimous Brewing.
That's it? One beer?
I had two. Damn it. From Magnanimous Brewing, their Lurking Fear Double IPA actually was one of the check-ins that we read from Jeff Seiler, which I think, if not close, we pretty much rated it the same. 4.5 caps for that beer. My check-in, I actually wrote some sort of notes on there, and it was just a citrus bomb. I mean, it was like orange juice. It was fantastic beer. And sometimes I get things from Magnanimous that they just go so hard on the hops that you get some hop burn in there. And did not have that with this one in there as well. So
okay, good.
4.5 caps for the Lurking Fear. And the second one that I had was from Pelican Brewing out in Oregon. They're in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Mother of All Storms from 2021. An English style barley wine. You know what you say is the better, but
it is.
This one worked out pretty well as far as a very good beer. It was nice because it wasn't super sweet. It was a little more on the dry side. This was beer number 1 through our hurricane journey, but 4.5 caps for that beer as well. It was just phenomenal. Just having a barley wine, we're sitting and watching the trees just lose leaves and branches and fall over, and just sitting on the back porch just watching the world happen. But yeah, Mother of All Storms from Pelican Brewing. I think I have a second one in there.
Oh, wow.
In my fridge.
Let it age. It ages well.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I'm seeing with most barley wines that I've been getting. They're good to age.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check though, because I might have had one from 2020 and 2021, but I don't know. We'll see. But we did also have a couple people prior to you jumping on with us. We're like, well, hey, we got some new and noteworthies too. But Denny, let's get into yours. I only had 2, but let's get into yours, and then I'll get into Connor and Eric's.
Okay. I'll try to go quick. I have a few. And the reason I have a few is because I had a little get together with my buddy Alex and Kirk Tabor, who, if you remember, we met up and he provided me with 6 great beers, and I wanted to share those beers with friends. And I invited a few people over and it was during the week, and people. It's hard to get people out during the week, like in the middle of the week, right?
Yeah.
So they couldn't come, but we had me, Alex, and Kirk, and we got together and we drank beer. Now, my plan was to drink some of the beers that Kirk gave me before because these are big beers, and I wanted to drink them with friends and share them. Kirk shows up with another bag full of incredibly rare beers to share. And so we didn't drink the beers that he provided me last time. We drank the beers he provided me this time because I'm like, these are probably more of what Alex likes to drink. I didn't realize the other ones had a lot more sour. And Alex is not a big sour fan, and two of them were Cascade beers. And because I didn't think about it, that Cascade makes mostly sour beers, that their system is probably contaminated and will probably have sourness to all the beers. So we decided it was better to go with these other ones. So I'm going to talk about a couple of these beers that we drank. The first one is this special bad boy.
Oh yeah,
Avery
love some
Rumpkin, 2015,
16, 15,
15. And I had this. So what's funny is I had this beer before, but it didn't. Again, Untapped didn't have it in my check-in, but I had it at the Great American Beer Festival with John, and I loved it. It was very good. And I'm not a Great American Beer Festival, the Great Pumpkin Beer Festival. Sorry,
I was like, wow, I didn't know you went to that one. Damn.
At least I caught myself. Before I got too far, because normally I won't catch myself until after I'm editing. I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot, man. I said the wrong thing.
You caught yourself.
I caught myself ahead of time this time, but yeah. So this is 2015 Avery Brewing Company's Rumpkin. It's a pumpkin yam beer. And what I wrote here is, so I've had this before, but it appears my check-in from Rumpkin has disappeared. Great beer, held up well over 7 years of aging. Big rum flavor, slightly boozy, but really fantastic. Thanks, Kirk. I gave this a 5 cap rating. Really good beer. So I want to talk about that one. Another beer. So of course, when Alex comes, he always brings me beer. He's such a sweet guy. And he brought me, the one I'll talk about here is Thornbridge Brewery. I've talked about these before. They're out of, excuse me, I'm still burping up that beer. Out of England. And this one is called the Pardus Banoffee Imperial Stout. Wow, I'm going to have the hiccups. And this beer, I said, wow. Now, I think this Pardus Banoffee is like some kind of a pie or something, a banana pie or something, because it has flavors of banana in here. It says, wow, getting bananas and caramel on the nose. Not an aroma I was expecting in an imperial stout. The flavor has a rich caramel with some banana and subtle spiciness in the finish. The body is full. It's very good beer that balances the flavors. Thanks, Alex. 4.75 cap rating for that one. And then the next beer I had, another can I have right here. This beer is from Switzerland. I've never had a beer from Switzerland. This is also from Kirk Tabor. And let me see if I can find it here. It's called Brasserie des Franches-Montagnes. Or for short, BFM. Yeah. And it's the Procrastinator Zero Imperial Stout. Big thanks to Kirk for bringing this great beer to our bottle share. This beer had pronounced dark chocolate malt with a tangy apple quince flavor. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Flavors you never expect to see in a stout. Apples and quince, which is like a type of small apple.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. It worked well, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5 cap rating. And then the last beer I'm going to talk about is from Jim Dandy Brewing, the Boondog American Stout. We've already mentioned Jim Dandy earlier. And what I said about this one is Oh, my buddy Corey's son brought this back when he went to Pocatello to run an Ironman. I actually went to Utah to run an Ironman, but he came back through Pocatello and bought beer for me, which was great. That was really nice. Thanks, Joe, for bringing back this beer. This is a great example of an American stout. Well done. 4.5 cap rating. Short and sweet. It's an American stout. It didn't have any extra crap in there. It just showcased the malt and the grains and just had a very good solid American stout flavor. Like I said, 4.5 cap rating for me. Holy smokes, Kris. You got a lot to talk about here with our other.
I did. And I was really excited about this too, because before you jumped on with us, Eric and Connor we were just kind of chatting back and forth. So I was able to copy and paste their comments so we could chat about some new and noteworthy beers. Now, Connor, I don't know if you're still on, buddy, or if you fell asleep with the kids, but Connor, I asked him, I said, hey, what's one of your new and noteworthy beers? What have you enjoyed over the past week that you really like? He drank the 7-Day Weekend from, it was a collaboration from Mast Landing and Vitamin C. He gave it a 4 cap rating.
That's Vitamin C, SEA. I love that. Yeah. And I love the name, 7-Day Weekend. Man,
Oh,
who
absolutely.
doesn't want a 7-day weekend?
I'll take 3 of those. Thank you. He said good flavor, a little thinner than expected, but good profile. And Mast Landing, if you guys can get Mast Landing stuff, I absolutely love the beer those guys put out. We see little bits of it here, but I'd love to see more of it. Eric Gronley, he had some new and noteworthies from his time out in Las Vegas. He is currently flying on a plane from Las Vegas back to Minnesota. He said, hey, can I give you my new and noteworthies for that? I said, yeah, absolutely, man. If you went on a little beer adventure, I'd love to hear about it. So he had beer from Astronomy Ale Works called Do I Make You Gony? Grapefruit wheat ale. The citrus and juicy flavors were so amazing and so refreshing, is what he checked in on that one. So grapefruit wheat ale from Astronomy Ale Works. Bad Beat Brewing, just called simply Send It. It was a Japanese rice lager, amazingly well executed, crisp, light, and crushable. And then a second one from Astronomy Ale Works, Cheers to Breakfast. A blonde ale with coffee, cinnamon, vanilla flavors in a golden ale, just a wonderful treat.
Nice. Well, it looks like I need to revisit Vegas because they have breweries that I haven't had before.
They just like every area around our country, Denny, it's more and more breweries are popping up. And I was, not expecting it when I went to Las Vegas. I figured it was just going to be, hey, I'm going to go to Corey's and we'll try out, check out this restaurant that I'll frequent. And I wish I had more time there the last time I was there, because there was just, everybody was like, oh, you can go out and check out this place and check out this place. And I'm like, wow. And I haven't been there for 3 years.
Yeah.
And still so much happens in 3 years, even through a pandemic. There's, so many different breweries popping up and so many different things that the world's just growing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, every 2 years, my company, we have an internal engineering conference, and everyone submits abstracts of the work they've been doing. And if they get selected, then they go to Vegas. And I went last 2018, I presented, and that's the last time I was in Vegas. So I'm submitting again this time. I submitted the last time, but because of the pandemic, we didn't go to Vegas, got canceled. So I didn't get to, I got selected, but I didn't get to go. But this time I'm submitting again. And if I get selected, I'll be back in Vegas. And I'm going to check out some of these breweries because, it sounds like Eric really liked them. So,
yeah. And that's the thing is it's been there. It's amazing how so much can change in just a short period of time.
Yeah. Okay, Kris, guess what? We've reached the end of the show. But before we go, I want to allow you to give out a few toasts to someone you'd like to give a toast to. So who would you like to give a toast out to tonight?
Well, unlike my normal toasts, I have a couple to give this evening. I want to wish a happy belated birthday to Matt Helmer. A couple days ago was his birthday. It was his birthday. And happy early birthday to Kyle Lilly. I think his is on the 5th, I think I saw. Nice. So happy birthday to you guys. Cheers. I hope you have some awesome beers and great times on your birthday. And I also want to raise a glass to everyone, whether it was listeners, friends, family, everybody that reached out to us over through Hurricane Ian. It's been a crazy past couple of days. Thank you to everyone who reached out to us, checked in on us, making sure we were okay, making sure we had what we needed. I can't ask for not only just friends and family that are amazing and want to make sure we're good, but hell, even our listeners checked in with us. So cheers to you guys. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Of course, cheers to that.
And Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
Okay. First, I'll raise my glass to our Patreon toast of the night, Johan Hauberg, all the way in Sweden. I was shocked that he didn't comment with the talking about Swedish metal bands last episode. Hope you're doing okay, Johan. Hope you're getting over that, you get your taste back so you can start rating these beers again. So yeah, cheers to you, Johan. Also, a birthday wish that to my good friend Nikki. Her birthday's today. So happy birthday, Nikki. And of course, Matt. I did wish Matt a happy birthday on the 1st of October, the 1st of Matt-tober, as he calls it.
1st of Matt-tober.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. And for my other toast, I as I already mentioned, the generosity of two really great people that continue to just shower me with good beer, Mr. Kirk Tabor and my buddy Alex Fuchs. Very good friends. Alex especially is never disappoints. I love spending time with him, and I enjoy that we get to spend at least a few days every month or every 2 months together to drink and share and visit and have fun. So cheers to you too. And of course, being a former serviceman, I want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Thank you for your service, and please return home safely to your families very soon. And Kris, why don't you go ahead and raise a glass to our sponsor?
So I want to raise a glass to the folks over at FrostBuddy. They specialize in cooling containers for your beverage of choice. FrostBuddy has the Universal Buddy 2.0, which is the world's first universal can cooler for 12-ounce cans, slim cans, bottles, and even 16-ounce cans. FrostBuddy also has the world's first universal wine cooler, 24-ounce stainless steel mugs, and even stainless steel dog bowls. Go visit their website at frostbuddy.com.
And you can find the beers and the links to the articles mentioned in the show in the show notes located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if I could follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Kris, how can our listeners follow you?
So you can never find me on Twitter at Kris_McKenzie82, but you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. And of course, you can find us on everything social at Tap the Craft.
All right, it is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening. We ask you to please tell a friend and, of course, subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.